I just bought a new microphone. So who am I? Why should you watch my videos? Well, let's get into it. Okay, well, I'm testing out my new microphone. Hopefully this works out. I feel like this is all the really fun stuff that I enjoy. It gives me a whole new set of equipment and technology that I can research and learn more about. So I live in a small suburb of Halifax, Nova Scotia, on the east coast of Canada. I'm married to my husband Trevor, and we've been together for over 16 years, and we've been married for 12 years. We have a dog, Sydney. He's a Morkie, so a Maltese Yorkie cross, and he is about 8.5 years old. Here, you want a treat, buddy? Good boy. It's a good puppy. Sit. Sit. Hi, good boy. Yes, a good boy. Oh, you're cute. And up until 2 months ago, we actually had two dogs. We had a Chihuahua named Lola. She was 15 years old. We had to put her down. So now we're down to one dog. People always ask, is Sydney lonely without him? And I don't think he is, because Lola was a Chihuahua. Chihuahuas have very distinct personalities, and they're usually quite spirited. They can be quite yappy. They're scared of everything, but they think that they're the biggest dog in the neighborhood at the same time. It's a really weird mix, and Lola and Sydney were never best buds. They got along okay, like they lived together in this house and it was all fine. But I think that Sydney's enjoying being an only dog now because he doesn't have to deal with his sister yapping all the time, even though he is also the world's worst yapper. We were sad to put Lola down, but it was time, and we were at peace with the fact that she had lived a long, happy life. Her health was starting to fail, but we didn't want to wait until the very last minute when her health got so bad that she didn't have any quality of life. We were at peace with the fact that she wasn't suffering anymore. I work part-time as an admin assistant, and I'm also a photographer. So I own a business called Lale Images Portrait Design, and I've been doing photography now for over 7 years. I bought my first camera when my niece and my nephew were born in 2013. Like 99% of photographers, I started out because I had new family members and I was so excited to take their photos, and especially intrigued by newborn photography. So I bought my camera and I did a ton of learning. YouTube was my main source of learning about how to do photography. And then I started taking photos, and as with a lot of people, my family and friends started seeing my work on Facebook, and I ended up getting some paid gigs, and I officially opened up later on that year. I had already had a business doing graphic design, which is also another skill set of mine, and so naturally it fit together to do design and photography, so I transitioned into doing both, and then eventually photography sort of took over, and that was my main source of income for my business. So this year's been a really weird one, as it has been for everybody. My husband's job, obviously, he's working from home now, so my studio became his office. I have a small studio in the basement of my home. It's a walkout basement, so clients don't have to enter through my home. And it was a perfect little space. I was set up for newborn photography and small family sessions, headshots, that sort of thing. And now that it's his office, it's much harder to be able to book client work, as well as the fact that during this pandemic, I don't really want clients in my home if I can avoid it. I haven't done a lot of sessions this year. I haven't actively been marketing. I do get inquiries, but usually I refer them out to somebody else. And because of the craziness with this whole moving to Spain thing, I decided that it would be best to back away from a lot of client work and focus on getting our house ready and making sure we can get set to go to Spain. While I still really love photography, I feel like it's super fun to transition my business business into doing more video and not so much client video because I'm still learning, but to document my own journey and learn more about videography instead of solely still images. My hobbies. Who am I? What do I like to do in my spare time? One of my favorite things is learning new ways to be creative. So in the moment, of course, right now, as you're seeing in this video, I'm learning all about how to do vlogging and taking video. And that's a bit of a learning curve because it's not something I've ever really done before. I spend a lot of time watching YouTube. I find it hard to watch dramatic shows because sometimes it gets in my head and I can't stop thinking about it, or I'll start binging it and 16 hours later I'm on season 3 of some drama and it's just a lot. So what I do instead is watch YouTube, and I have spent easily 20 hours a week watching YouTube. I don't sit down and just watch YouTube videos a lot, but most of the time I'll have it on in the background while I'm cooking or while I'm working or editing video or working on photography or just everything. Even if I'm washing my face, I'll often put on a YouTube video while I'm doing that. So it made a lot of sense for me to start a YouTube channel because I look up to so many of the vloggers that I've followed, and it's really fun to see the vast variety of content on YouTube. And I always thought about finding a way to document my own life. I love writing, so I thought about writing a blog, but I feel like blogs are not as in style as they used to be, and I don't know if people sit and read long form blogs anymore. So video is the popular thing, so let's give this a try and see if we can make a go of it. And if nothing else, my family and friends will get to see all about our journey, and once we're in Spain and they don't get to see us all the time, it'll be fun for them to be able to look at our content and learn about what our life is like in Spain. So what else do I like to do? My favorite thing is sitcoms if I am gonna watch TV. My favorite show of all time is Seinfeld, and followed by The Office. Top 2 for sure. I'm also really enjoying currently binging Superstore, which is sort of like a take on The Office, and I've been binging that a lot while I'm working on this video and getting my YouTube channel set up. The other thing that brings me so much joy in life is spending time with my family, and specifically my nieces and nephews. I actually have 2 sisters. I'm the oldest, and both of my sisters have kids. My middle sister has 2 and my youngest sister has 3, and they range between ages 7 and about just under 2 years old. I just love spending time with them, and it's so sweet to see them growing up, and it's really a joy in my life. My husband also has 2 brothers, so he's also the oldest in his family, and his 2 brothers each have 2 children. We don't get to see his nieces and nephews as often, but when we do, it's really fun to see them growing up and get to know them as they get older. They live about 2 hours away from our house, and we don't get to see them as often as we'd like, but it's still really fun to spend time with them when we can. I have a real interest in home decor and design. I've been the type of person for a long time that didn't really feel we could spend or wanted to spend a lot of money on home decor. So for many years I looked at decor magazines and watched HGTV, but never felt that we could spend or should spend the money. And it also felt like a lot of the things that we wanted to do were so big that it just didn't make sense to do anything. But since we've decided we're moving to Spain and getting ready to sell the house, we decided to invest some money in upgrading the flooring and having the house painted, and we painted the kitchen cabinets. We installed new countertops, just a lot of bigger things that make a huge impact on the design of the house. And through all of that, of course, it meant choosing paint colors, and once the painting was done, hanging up artwork and reorganizing things. And it's been so fun to finally do the things to the house that we really wanted to do. Of course, the bittersweet part of all that is that at the end of it, we're selling the house, so we don't get to enjoy it as long as we'd like. It's okay though, because I've told people it's sort of like raising a child. We've lived in this house for 13 years, and it was just a little baby when we moved in, and now finally we put the finishing touches on raising this child, and we're ready to send it off to college. And I can do that knowing that I put all the work into it that I wanted, and I could finally see it as a grown-up. Now that the house is in the shape that we wanted and we feel really proud of how it looks, we're ready to sell. And actually, I was just talking to my realtor today. She sent me a message because a house up the street just sold for an insane amount of money. over asking, and she reminded me that the market's not changing anytime soon and that we haven't missed the boat on selling our house. The other thing I really enjoyed is shopping. Through the pandemic, while we were doing work on the house, it required a lot of things, so it was nice to be able to get out. I got to be out shopping and looking at home decor stuff and buying supplies for the renos and looking around at Home Depot and just like savoring all those minutes leaving the house and being able to just do something different and see something different. And that was really exciting. And now that all the stores are open and things seem to be mostly back to normal here, we're very lucky. It's been fun to go shopping and buy some new fall clothes. I really needed some things because unfortunately, like a lot of people, put on the COVID 2020, and I was finding that a lot of my clothes from last year weren't fitting as comfortably as I wanted them to, so it was a good excuse to buy a few new things and fill up the closet again. I also spend a lot of time researching and learning about new topics. I'm somebody who doesn't just slap something together and call it done. I tend to almost be paralyzed from wanting to do things perfectly, but at the same time it's really fun to spend time learning and trying something new and making it as good as I can. I did study graphic design in college, so I took a course called digital media design, and that was back in 2003. I was fresh out of high school, and my course covered everything from graphic design to video to animation and web design. It was really fun. I got to really learn a little bit about every topic. I started off in high school being super into web design, so I always built little websites on GeoCities and using Front Page, if anybody remembers what that is from such a long time ago. I had fan pages for Prince William and the Hanson brothers. Such a nerd, and that was what I enjoyed doing, was spending time on the computer as a teenager, so it was a natural selection for me to go to college and study graphic design. I moved into admin after that, and I've worked in admin pretty much ever since, aside from working as a photographer on the side, and I've also done a lot of freelance work over the years. I absolutely love tea. I've never been a coffee person, and I think I've probably had like 5 sips of coffee my whole life. It's just not something that I enjoy, but I do love tea, and I especially have delved into a lot of different types of loose leaf tea. I love green tea, black tea, you name it. I've also gotten more into matcha in the last couple of years. I don't necessarily drink a lot of matcha just straight up, but I do love a matcha latte, and I do make them here at home, and I've also been a little bit addicted to Starbucks matcha lattes over the years, but I've tried to cut back lately because they're super high calorie and just really expensive and not a good place to spend my money or my calories. My dad is from Holland, so he immigrated to Canada when he was 19 as an exchange student. He ended up settling here in Canada when he met my mom, and my mom is actually Canadian from New Brunswick. And yeah, they have a pretty cool story, so maybe someday I'll explain it in more detail. I grew up not knowing a lot about my Dutch family. My grandparents and all my cousins were mostly in Holland, and I have cousins in Scotland as well, but I'm the oldest and I'm quite a bit older than most of my cousins. And because we live in Canada and it was always quite expensive to fly to Europe, we didn't get to see our family in Holland that often. So unfortunately I didn't really get to know them that much. Hoping that as an adult, once we're in Europe, we'll be able to make efforts to see our family in Europe more. My grandmother on my mom's side lives in New Brunswick. She just turned 89 years old, and she still lives alone in her home. I am just in awe of this woman. Her and I are like kindred spirits. My personality, all the best things come from my grandmother, and I take a lot of pride in that because she is a very strong, independent woman with a wonderful sense of humor. It's a very big source of joy in my life to be close to my grandmother. Unfortunately, we live about 5 hours away by car from where she lives, so I don't get to see her as often as I would like, but we do make effort to go visit her a couple of times a year, and I try to talk to her as often as I can, and I know she values our relationship as well. So hopefully this video gives you a little bit more insight into who I am and about my life. I figured if you're going to want to follow along on my journey and learn about my experiences immigrating to Spain, it would make sense for you to know who I am and some of the things I enjoy and what I like, and a little bit about my history and my hobbies. Tell me in the comments below if any of the hobbies that I listed are things that you also are interested in, or if there's anything on my list that you would like to see me do a video about or explain a little bit in more detail. Leave a comment below. I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to get notifications every time I post a new video. And if you comment below, that's also super helpful. I'd love to hear from you, and I'm excited to get to know the viewers of my videos. If you have any requests for new video topics, I would also love to see those. I've got a fairly good list of ideas for things that I want to film, but if you have anything you really want to see, I'm totally open to those ideas.